The Blazing Arrow block is a simple beginner block using half square and quarter square triangles. It's a good way to practice making them, and it's easy and looks great. Hi, it's Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner. How's everybody doing? How are your blocks coming? I'd love to see some pictures of blocks that you're doing. Let me know if you're stuck or need some advice. Today's block is called Blazing Arrows. I have one here that's finished. Okay, here's the block. That's what it looks like. There are several different components to this block. So let's go here and I will deconstruct it for you. Okay, the first center block are quarter square triangles. And in order to make quarter square triangles, you take two squares and you're cutting them on the diagonal. You're cutting from here to here. So when I go to do that, in fact, let me just do that for you right now. So what I do is I make sure my fabric's all lined up, and then you're just cutting on the diagonal from the top point to the bottom point. And your rotary cutter is pretty thin, so you can line this up pretty accurately. So there are those. Now I try not to move the blocks, and because it just does it, at least that way you will not and nothing will shift. It will stay in place for you. So try not to move the blocks once you start cutting. So there are my two cuts, and they are just like that. This is what makes them quarter square triangles. Now, these are all biased edges now. So they stretch, they move, and so be very, very careful when you're sewing them so that you don't get any wonkiness to it. So you're going to be sewing along this edge here, or this edge here, doesn't really matter, and then it's going to open like so. And that's what makes two of these make your center square. So this will make two squares. Okay, so that's that. And I will sew those together later. Okay, the next are the flying geese units. And the flying geese units are made with 3.5 inch squares and a 6.5 inch whole piece of fabric underneath. And what I do here, I use my air erase pen, and I have found that I really like this pen because not only does it goes away in a couple of hours, but it also works really well on the back of dark fabric. You can see it on the back of dark fabric. So I'm real impressed with this pen. I'll put a link to it in the description below. So you're gonna just sew on that line like I've done here, and then trim off your excess and fold it over. And then what you do is you're going to get another one, lay it this way, go from your center point, go from your 2 points, and draw your line. Start in the middle, work your way out so your fabric doesn't bunch up or move or anything like that. So there's my line. So I will take that to the sewing machine and sew that. These are quarter square triangles, or half square triangles. These are half square triangles, and they're going on your outer points. And those are made with 2 pieces of fabric I will, so these are 8 inches long, so I'm in halving it because you're going to get 4 here. Mark your lines. And then I do my center line. And I also do on each side. I do a 1/4 inch. It just makes it easier if you have a line to follow. So I just make a line on each side. And then I'll do the other on this side. Same thing, corner to corner. Line on each side of that, 1/4 inch line on each side of that. And 1/4 inch on this side. And then take it to the sewing machine, and you're sewing this way, up that way, down this way, and then back. Let me show you what that looks like. And then what I do next, I've taken this, I've sewn it. I cut the 2 units in half. This way, it just makes it easier to work with. You're cutting in half, and then you're cutting your triangles apart. So once I cut the triangles apart, I will take them over to the iron and press them. And then once I press them, I will open them, and there's your half square triangle right here. Now, these need to be trimmed down. I do trim off the dog ears. It just makes it easier to get that out of the way, that extra fabric out of the way, and it just makes for a nicer corner when you're adding your strips together. So that's the block. It's called Blazing Arrows. And I really like the way that this turned out. I'm real pleased with some of my points, not so much some of them, but I like the way that this block turned out. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd also love to see a block that you've made. That would be awesome. This pattern comes from Quilter's Cash. The patterns there are free to print and use. There is a link to the pattern below. This video tutorial was made earlier this year. I have updated it here. If you liked the video, please click the like and subscribe. If you want to know when I post new videos, click the bell. If you want to join me and a like-minded group of quilters, come join us at the Quilter Swarm at Facebook. It's a private group, so just answer the questions and ask to join when you get there. And if you want to keep up to date through email, go subscribe at quiltcrafterscorner.com and get my list of essential quilters tools.